Here you are back and now as a professional. You're in your first year. How are things going down there as the new superintendent of the Becker school system?
Things have been going very well. We've had a few changes with the admin. We've had some turnover. Obviously, the superintendent position, the assistant superintendent. We've had some new principals and assistant principals on board, and some real new, positive, exciting energy there. And we've had some community things that have happened, and it's wonderful to see some of the community outpouring that we've had, the support of the community, and that's one of the things that I liked about Becker as I was coming, selecting it as a choice for one of the places I was applying, and it's really good to see that support, and it's something that I heard about before, and something I knew a little bit about when I was at St. Cloud State, with the location of Becker. So
yeah. So there are coming up on Tuesday, November the 5th. It's election day. It's not a huge election, but I'm sure you're trying to get the word out that folks have to go out and vote if you live in the Becker school system, because there is a couple of questions that are going to be on the ballot. So I wanted to bring you in and talk a little bit about the referendum that's on the ballot for Becker on Tuesday, November 1st. The first question. Talk about what the first question is and what you're planning to address with that question, Jeremy.
Yeah, the first question is both the questions are renewals. The first question does have a slight increase, $110 per pupil. So it was $415.26, and it's going up to $525.26 per pupil. It's going to generate about $330,000 for the district. The average increase for a taxpayer, $200,000 home, market value home, is going to be about $39 a year. So not an incredible increase or anything like that, but looking at about $19.54 for every $100,000. One of the things with the operating levies is that it taxes just the house, garage, and 1 acre. So people who own lots and lots of land or ag land or other properties and things like that, it doesn't affect them like a bond referendum would. So it's just the house, garage, and 1 acre, up to 1 acre, I guess. If you don't own an acre, then you wouldn't get taxed up to an acre. But of 1 acre of land, that would be in that tax. Some of the things we'll do with that is we'll just continue the programming, because a large bulk of that is that renewal, that $415.26 that's originally there. Mm-hmm. That generates for us about $1.5 million of operating expenses and things that we can use to, provide the programs that we're providing for students, whether it's transportation or extracurriculars or staffing or just different programs that we have in the school.
Jeremy, do you know the levy that's expiring? Was that like a 10-year levy? So that's what's expiring right now?
Yeah. Both of them are expiring at the end of taxable year 2019 as a 10-year levies, and so that's why the renewal comes up. It's just something that's expiring, and like I said, that $1.5 million roughly that we have from question one is obviously a big impact for school district.
So in question one, there is that slight increase, as you talked about, which will also raise taxes a little bit. Is that just because of inflation and things cost more to maintain? Obviously salaries and all of that cost more. Is that kind of where the additional revenue is needed? Or
yeah, a bulk of that is goes toward that. Some of that is also our fund balance has been slipping a little bit, and the school board has a policy of 8% unassigned fund balance in reserve, and we're below that point. We're right around between 0.5% and 1% in that, and so we're a considerable amount below that point. So we're trying to also build up that fund balance, which allows us to handle emergencies as they arise and different things like that. One of the reasons that so many school districts go to local taxpayers is because the state hasn't really kept up with some of those inflationary costs. So things that we can't control, like the heating and different building, keeping up with the building and keeping those things up to shape. Those increase in costs, and if we don't get the increase in inflationary costs from the state, then it makes it really difficult. And we're one of over 40 questions on the ballot in November for operating levies. I think there's another 40 or so for facilities. I think Becker Schools is probably the second lowest operating levy increase out of all those questions. And so I think the board was able to look at it and see that one of the things is keep the taxpayers in mind, but also be able to provide the programs that we've been accustomed to in Becker School District.
Yeah, so the second question basically is just, as you mentioned, just replacing a levy that's expiring. So you are asking folks to extend it for, another 10 years? Is that what you're asking for?
Yes, yep. That's $494,000 per year that generates for us for 10 years, and that's a capital project levy. And like you said, it's one that's expiring. There's zero impact. People are going to get a mailer in the mail today or tomorrow. Or maybe they got it yesterday even, but it's going to say on the one side of that, it's going to have some main points of question one, question two, and Becker Schools, and on the other side of that, it's going to have their actual their estimated tax impact With question 1, there'll be a number on there, and then question 2 for everybody is going to be a 0.
Yeah, and for question 2, that has to do with a lot of keeping technology up to date. And as we know, technology is expensive. First of all, when you're talking about a school system where you need, iPads or computers for a large number of kids, I mean, that all costs money, right? So
certainly, yeah, and it's the technology. And currently, we use iPads in our school district, but we always are looking at different ways to utilize technology to help improve our student learning and improve student outcomes. We're trying to prepare kids, after they graduate from Becker schools to be successful and be prepared for what life brings them after that. And, and so we always are looking at what technology it is. But like I said, currently it's iPads that we use in the school district as a one-to-one school.
So, Jeremy, Becker has been a rapidly growing school district. I mean, the classes down there are just huge. Is that still the case, or have you seen kind of a drop-off in that rise in enrollment? Or tell us a little bit about that.
We've had a pretty significant growth over the last 10 to 12 years or even longer. And the last couple of years, we've kind of hit a plateau. We've got slow and steady growth still. Other districts are seeing declines and things like that. In rural Minnesota, I think Becker's a fantastic location right on Highway 10 and in between the St. Cloud area and the metro area. And so right now with the housing, there's not a lot of housing available, I don't think, in Becker. And, if people were to build houses there, I think we'd increase our enrollment again. And the developments correlate really closely with our rapid growth in students.
Yeah. So my question, I guess, is that, the larger the student population, the more state funding you get. So you're not able to use the state funding to kind of capture the revenue you need to run the school district?
Sort of. It's a lot easier to get that revenue as if your enrollment's continuing to increase, because you're always adding programs and things like that. When you get to a spot where it levels off, then that's when those inflationary costs and things like that can really catch up to you. And if it declines, it's even more dramatic,
right?
And some of the things that you have to do. Yeah.
So again, there's 2 questions on the ballot for Tuesday, November the 5th, for the Becker school system. You never know what's going to happen, when you send voters to the polls. So obviously you're trying to do everything you can to get the message out and let people know what's happening, first of all, and obviously plead your case as to why you want them to vote one way or the other, right?
Yeah, yep. And like you said, question 1 is a slight increase, $19.54 for every $100,000 in market value. Question 2 is 0 increase. And again, it's the house, garage, and up to 1 acre. That's really a big learning point, because a lot of people think, well, everything's going to get taxed. But with these operating levies, that's all it is the house, garage, and 1 acre. And then, like I said earlier, the school board has been very cognizant of taxpayers. They're all taxpayers as well, obviously, and but also providing the programs that our students and our staff and community has come accustomed to.
All right. Well, we are out of time, Jeremy. Thank you for driving up here. I appreciate that. Nice to meet you and get you back on the radio here on WJON as well.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, and check out the website, the Becker School website, for more information.